What's up, everybody? We got our first ever patch for Storybook Brawl, and that means a whole new kind of YouTube video. We're going to be going over the patch notes for patch 0.58.2. There's a new card. They replaced a hero, and they made some balance updates. I've glanced at them briefly, but we're going to be going over in detail kind of my reaction, my analysis on what I think the impact of these will have. First, let's start with the new card, Copycat. It's a 4-costed 4/1, and it has the last breath abilities of the characters behind him. It's going to be pretty interesting. There's not a ton of last breath abilities, but there are a fair amount of good ones. This one is neutral and an animal. I don't know that it really plays into the animal synergies very well. Obviously, you do have things like Good Boy at the end of the game, things like that it'll be really powerful with. It kind of gives you just another one of those, but it itself not being good means it's a little bit anti-synergistic with that as well. But I think there's a chance you could do one that doesn't really care about good or evil. There's probably a pretty decent build out there. Yeah, then they trigger twice when it's upgraded. So I'm thinking some of the monsters late game, 4 damage to everything, cast a random spell onto a random minion, enemy minion, I should say. I think all these things have a decent chance to be pretty good with this card, but I don't see this as like a late game comp warping addition, though I guess we will see, and we'll be getting into some games. You'll see some games with this reflected in a couple of days. I have a few backlogged that I'll want to get out first, but yeah, you can check out the stream, twitch.tv/DeathBlow if you want to see some of those games a little earlier. Moving on, the balance updates. Shadow Assassin, formerly a 2/1, now a 1/1. The notes here say an assassin can get huge late game, which we like, but to balance that potential out, we made it a bit more risky to buy. All sounds great to me. I don't really think it changes when this card's good, when you want to buy this card. It just kind of nerfs its power a little bit early, but you're still going to be able to get its, rolling and snowballing. And this will just be less good as a catch-all thing, right? Oh, I just see it on 3, so I'll buy it because it's a 2/1 ranged. That has the potential to get a little bit bigger as well pretty early and pretty easily. I think this is kind of a non-impactful change, to be honest with you. But I guess we'll see. Maybe it does have a little more of an impact on the Slay army type. Next, we've got Dubli. This is the exact change that I wanted to see for dwarves, and for this card in particular. It just dominates early. Absolutely dominates. There's nothing that can compete with this if you get the right spells or if you have the right synergies with the hero choice. Just as this says, let him get those crazy numbers while being a little more fair overall. I think that's right. I think this does a good job of slowing down some of the dwarf builds as well, which are crazy strong early, fall off in the mid game, and then as soon as you hit Lordy, they tend to get right back to one of the more powerful synergies. It's also a very linear, easy to play synergy, so I think kind of nerfing some of that power in the early game especially is great, but I do like that dwarves is viable late game, so I'm glad they didn't go after Lordy or anything like that. That's not it for the dwarf changes. We've got Crafty. Instead of being a 3-cost, becomes a 2-cost. I think this is great. Obviously, it keeps the curve with Dubli, so just exchanges their costs. This card was basically worthless, and I never played it, even when I was as hard committed into dwarves. It would just kind of fill the spot until you got a meaningful or a good dwarf, and I don't think that's where you want any card to really be. It's okay to have bad cards, it's okay to have not great cards, but I think this one has some potential now at 2 to actually be viable. You get an early treasure, and all of a sudden you've got a decent-sized minion, and maybe you're pumping it with a fanny or something like that, and the additional +2/+2. I think this will be a pretty good change, and hopefully this will be a pretty solid card. Wizard's Familiar. Used to be a 0/1, now it's a 1/1. I like this a lot. It was really difficult to warrant buying this early on, knowing you were going to lose. At least this gives you the chance to fight kitty cut purses and things like that and draw with them without casting a spell. And I don't think it really changes the power level of a card in the late game, its viability in specific compositions, things like that. So I think this is overall a pretty good change as well. It was all a dream. Used to cost 5, now it costs 4. Yeah, this was a cool card that I really liked seeing in the game. There's some heroes that you get your, you know, the benefit of them. You use their ability. You don't want it anymore, right? It because you want to switch comps or something like that. You know, this is just a very good card, and it often, even with those heroes, I wasn't spending it because 5 was just a little bit too much. It was just, like this says, just a bit too hard to justify spending 5 gold on. I definitely agree with that, and I don't think this suddenly makes it very powerful. You're still kind of in the luck of the draw area, but yeah, it was all a dream. Now a 4-cost spell instead of a 5. I think a good change, and I don't know if I would mind this at 3, so we'll see. Maybe this gets an additional change going forward. Next, we've got Pup the Magic Dragon, one of the best hero choices you could have made. Absolutely dominates early. It was almost impossible to contest it, as they say there in their comment. Should still be very strong early game hero while giving its opponents a better chance to compete early on. I completely agree with that. It'll do more trading, less 2-for-1ing because of the 2-1 instead of the 2-2. Not a big deal. It's okay that this is a very good hero. I like this hero. I enjoy playing it. I don't get tilted playing against it, but I did recognize it as definitely one of the better ones, and it's interesting to see them kind of bring it down a bit. Curious if it gets any further treatment down the line. Merlin, you cast a spell, give 2 random characters +1/+1 permanently, is now, when you cast a spell, give a random character +2/+1 permanently. So yeah, it was just hyper efficient, right? That it would just always hit things. It was with every spell, right? You had Snowware Man, who's gone now, spoiler alert, but more on that in a minute. You would have that, which was very tough and inconsistent to get a ton of value from very early, though really, really powerful when you did. But this doesn't care about targeted spells. And now this gives a little bit less stats overall, a little less on the toughness side, which I think is important. So yeah, the things it targets will be trading more than 2-for-1ing. I think that's generally a good thing. And it'll just help kind of curb its power going forward, though still, again, another one where I think this is going to be a very, very good hero still. River Wish Mermaid was a good monster, is now a good princess. This is great because it doesn't change the card. I found when I was using it, I didn't care that it was a monster. I didn't care about that at all. Now I might actually put this into a princess build. We'll be trying princesses with this now because princesses just didn't quite cut it for me. They were one of the few synergies I didn't think were very viable and were very capable of winning without hyper high rolling with that comp. So giving this an additional tool, a way to grow pairs with, I'm blanking on the 5-cost 7/7, man, some of these names, Lancelot, pairs with Lancelot better now. Just overall a very good card. I could even see putting this behind the, dang, card names are tough. The 0/8 that becomes an 8/8 when you target it with a spell. Sleeping Princess, who knows? Sorry, I'll get better at the names, I promise, especially as they come up in the patch notes and really force me to read the name. River Wish Mermaid. I couldn't have told you the name of that card before these patch notes if you put a gun to my head. But I love this overall change, just giving an extra tool to Princess. You didn't rob anything from a deck that already used this, so just gave it some more versatility. You buffed a bad synergy. Great change. Great change. Oh, Snowware Man. He's gone. I mean, the exact same character exists. But Snowware Man will be coming back with a totally new power, so right now Snowware Man just becomes Potion Master. There's no difference here, right? You cast a spell directly on a character, give it +2/+2 permanent. No, yeah, no change. Just a different name. So we'll just skip right past it. Matchmaking is very cool. Nothing against any new players to the game. I want to test my mettle against some other players that are very, very good. And it was inconsistent that would happen, but now that should. So I love this change. I love this addition, and I think it's especially good for the early game players to play against each other. You don't need to go against what the legends are doing. What the I'm getting close to top 50. They just put out a leaderboard. Not really a leaderboard, but you know your own rank. You can see it at the top of the screen. Up above here, I'm 55 when at the time of the screenshot that I edited to make this overlay here, and yeah, that's another great change. I think both of those, adding matchmaking and giving me that rank to really target something, right? Like I want to get to top 10 now. I've got that to grind for. I know when it's going to happen, everything like that. So excited for those changes as well. Let's see, new features. Hero Select UI. I haven't seen these. Treasure Select UI. No comments yet. I'm sure we'll see them soon. Shop timer sound effects to be more noticeable. Everybody hates that so far. So that's rough. This is very good. Reducing the volume on hero damage. Yep, leaderboard position to the rank UI. Great change. The rest seems pretty minor. We're not going to go through bug fixes or the most minor of features, but love this first patch. Great work to the SBB team. Love what you guys are doing so far. Really enjoying the game. Thank you so much for giving it some early attention. It's common in my experience with early access games not to see a lot of patches and notes and updates, and they're not shying away from it here. They're doing great, and the game already felt very balanced to me. Better than most auto battlers. Helps small card pool, etc. But yeah, love to see them, making slight adjustments here and there already this early into the game. So thanks for all your work. Thank you to anybody that decided to watch the video. I really, not we, there's nobody else. This isn't a podcast, even though it kind of feels like it at the moment. I really appreciate you stopping by, checking out the channel. I'm hoping for daily uploads. That's a lot to ask, but honestly, I pulled like 5 good games that I could have put to YouTube out of my last stream. So I think that's pretty attainable. Hoping to make that work. Keep an eye out for this. Videos like this one will be in addition to that. So I'm hoping for 5 games a week, 1 every day. And then we'll throw in these kind of patch review style videos or rapid reaction videos and see what we can do to flesh out the channel. So please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you want notifications when my videos go live. We will see you guys next time.